Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. I think we've just gone live, so hopefully everyone has got back to their computers, taken a little break, and is ready to jump into the next session here. Today's session is email marketing served three ways, and you've got me on the line. I'm Trevor Kluk, the Senior Marketing Associate at Jonas Club Software, and I've also got my boss, Vice President of Marketing, Trevor Kuglin, also joining me today. He's going to be helping moderate some of the questions. There he is, just popped on. And I've got a few questions sprinkled throughout the presentation today for all of you. And he's going to be taking a look at some of the answers that you hopefully provide and then sharing them with the group. So yeah, it is kind of funny that there's two Trevors in the department, but we try our best to keep things straight. Just for those of you who are joining your first session today, if you weren't in the keynote this morning, you can use the chat box inside of the webinar software to pose any questions or to answer the questions that I ask you guys. We are going to be recording today's session, so if you happen to miss something or if you have to step away or you want to share this with a colleague, you will be able to access the recording after today. I just wanted to take a chance to tell everybody a bit about Jonas Club Software for those who maybe are new to your positions or don't know about all the different services and technology that we offer. We're actually made up of 13 different brands, and the marketing department does take these brands and bring them to market. In the green section here, we have our back office software, your Jonas Club Management, Jonas Encore, Club Systems Group, which I'm sure all of you have probably used one of those, as well as our website brands, which include Clubhouse Online, Members First, and this also includes mobile app and email marketing, which we'll be covering today. And then we have also our value-added technologies. These are our outsourced payroll product, which is called Club Pay. We have a member surveying tool called Member Insight, which helps you gather member feedback, as well as Metrics First, which is a business intelligence tool that lets you analyze and track KPIs about your business. If you take all these different brands, we have about 250 employees, and we have about 5,000 total installations of our products. This next slide you might have seen if you were in Joe's presentation earlier today, and I think it's really cool, especially for the email marketing presentation, because we think of clubs as a bunch of smaller businesses all coming together under one roof to make up a club. And you'll see here that could be something like your activities, golf, maybe tennis, even sailing, yachting, and then everything inside, whether that's your dining facility, maybe your gym, locker room, and then your accounting departments, your membership director. All of these different areas of the club are integrated with our software. And what's really great about email marketing when it's integrated is that each of these little business units are probably going to use email marketing in a different way. And we'll touch on some of those today. So that brings us to today's session, which is club email marketing served three ways. Now, there's a lot of different email marketing tips I probably could have shared with you today. We're going to take a look at three core concepts. And if you happen to attended the email marketing session in November of last year, this is a very similar session, and the content is going to be pretty much the same. So I don't want to bore you. If you do have any interest, you can leave this session and join the Day in the Life of a Product Manager session, which is actually taking place right now as well. I won't be offended. You might get more out of that rather than sitting through this for the second time. But the strategies and the processes that we're going to cover today can be used in any email marketing system. Now, they are easier if you implement them in an integrated system. And because you have a membership database with a lot of key information about all of your members, that is going to kind of become the foundation of a powerful email marketing strategy. Now, we at Jonas currently are using a non-integrated system, and that basically means that we have one place where all of our client data lives, and then we have another place where we actually send out emails to our clients. And from my experience, it's time consuming. It also increases the likelihood that there could be errors when we're trying to take data from one place to another. But luckily, we're in the middle of a transition to a fully integrated system. And so that's hopefully going to make it a little bit easier for me to send emails, and why I highly encourage you guys, if you're not on an integrated email marketing system, to probably consider it. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? What's on today's tasty menu? Well, we're going to start with an appetizer, or the onboarding section, and this is going to deal with new members and how you can use emails to onboard them at the club. Then we're going to move into the main, and that will include a section on segmentation as well as a section on automation. And last, a dessert section, which is the more fun, the one that probably everyone looks forward to, and some creative ideas to hopefully increase your members opening those emails, because we all get a lot of emails these days. And we're definitely going to save some time at the end for some question and answers. So if you do have some questions about the things that I'm covering today, please throw those into the chat box, and Trevor will be monitoring those, and we'll open up at the end and try to answer some of them. Okay, so starting with that appetizer of onboarding. Now, when I think of onboarding, this would be when your member has just signed the dotted line, they've transitioned from that prospect that you were courting, and now you're trying to get them up to speed as a club member. And here is an example of onboarding at the University of Queens in Canada. Looks a little bit crazier than probably most club onboarding would be. But it's really important to think of onboarding when you're bringing a new member into the club, kind of like you do when you're bringing on new staff at a business, and you want to get them integrated and connected as quickly as possible. The recent kind of environment of, less touch points at clubs because of the pandemic has really accelerated the need for digital onboarding. But first, because many of you probably have onboarding programs in place at your clubs already, I want to throw it out there and ask you, what's one of the more interesting steps in your current member onboarding program? What's something fun that you could share with the group about, how you take your new member, and get them integrated into the club life that you provide? So I'm going to continue. Trevor's going to monitor to see if any of you are brave enough to answer, and then we'll recap some of these at the end of this section. So onboarding from an email marketing perspective is taking the chance to actually reach out to your new member from some of the key professionals at your club, or maybe it's the president, maybe it's some of the board of directors. So as soon as that member becomes, has been added to your membership database, it's a good idea to send a welcome message from maybe a departmental manager, board of director, and it doesn't have to be all of these people on the screen, but depending on what kind of club you are, it could be more impactful depending if you're a golf focused club, or maybe you're a city club with a really good reputation about the food that you provide. This is also a good chance to probably pose a put it out there about some of the important rules and regs that your new members should review, as well as maybe some how-tos, some links to important documentation about the club, and what the member can expect over the next coming weeks. So a way to make this really easy is to have it automated. And if your new member joins, as soon as they get added to your membership database and added into your email marketing platform through that integration, you can have that email automatically triggered so that you're not having to craft or write a new email each time a new member joins the club. I wouldn't expect your club president to personally type out the email, or your head golf professional, because that is time consuming. I'm not trying to add time to your already busy schedules. And there's a chance that maybe they might forget, or it could get delayed. But if you create an automation where you've pre-crafted an email and then have it triggered, then you know that it's going out. And there's some ways that you can still personalize that to keep it from being just a standard generic email that everyone receives. The other really great thing is that if you're sending this email out, you can monitor to see if your new member has opened it, maybe clicked on some of those key links that you've provided. And if they haven't, this would be a really great opportunity. Then you would reach out directly and say, hey, Mr. Smith, I noticed that you haven't opened our emails. Are they going to the wrong email address, or maybe they're going to your junk folder? If they haven't clicked on any of the links, this would be a great opportunity to just remind them that there's some important information that they need to read up on. So here's an example of a email that I put together that is coming from the president of the board of directors. So you'll notice here that it's a pretty standard email welcome message, but I've done a couple of things to make it a little bit more personalized. I've used a personalization token, which is pulling in information from that membership database, and it's just added their first name. I've put in some links here, some expectations of what communications that new member is going to receive in the coming weeks, club policies, a note from the golf professional, etc. And I've also added just something a little bit more fun here, a drink from on behalf of the board of directors, as just as a token welcome, so that the person feels like they're appreciated. The other key thing here is I've added a photo of Mr. Sinclair, the president, because in his message, I did say, if you see me around the club, come up and introduce yourself and say hello. And because new members aren't really sure who everyone is, it's a good idea to include a photo in all of these welcome emails from the key staff or the club president, just to put some faces to the name. The second email that I would send out for my imaginary club is one coming from the golf professional. So this is a very golf-centric club, and you'll see here that I've also included some personalization using the member name. Then I've added some information about coming into the pro shop to find out some key information like bag tag number, bag storage number, and maybe setting up their GIN information for handicapping purposes. Now, this would be a simple implementation, but what could be really cool is you could actually take this data, if you have it in the membership database, and use a personalization token to actually provide the bag tag right here in the body of the email. Then I've also included just a little take 10% off your first visit to the pro shop as an incentive for them to come in. And this would also include a photo so that the person knows who they're looking for when they come in to meet the head professional. The third email in my welcoming workflow is from the membership director. Now, this membership director is probably somebody who's been in contact with this new member since they first asked about membership at your club. And some of the things that I included in the message from her, again, is the member's first name using a personalization token, a link to reviewing some club policies, and just a little link here to a bookable calendar. So maybe you need to have that member come in and do a website orientation, or there's a few things that just need to be done in person now that they're a new member. Maybe most of your communications up to this point have been over the phone or through email, and you want them to come in, they can book a time directly. So those three email examples don't all have to be used, but the really easy thing to do is to set them up, as I said, in an automation. Now, what is an automation? It's really just a fancy way to pre-schedule emails that have already been written so that you don't have to write a new email each time one of these members joins. And you'll notice here that I've created a list called new signups for member onboarding. This ensures that only people who have been added to this new list are going to receive these. I've set a trigger. So when does this automation begin? Well, it begins when somebody gets added to this list, and that's going to start sending out the first email. And then I'm going to move into each of the 3 emails that I just showed you. And you notice that I put some time between each of the emails. This doesn't have to be 2 days. It could be 1 week. It could be sending something out each month, depending on what kind of content you're providing to those new members. And once they're finished the 3 emails, they would exit this automation. And you could do some other cool rules, like once they finish this automation, maybe they enter into another automation. So now I just want to circle back to this question, and I did see some answers coming in through the chat. So Trevor, were there any kind of interesting steps that members had for their onboarding process?
Yeah, we had a couple of really good ones here. So the first one from Adam Harrington, I'm going to show it here. Or sorry, not Harrington, Herring. It says, we personally email new members with updates from around the club, including fitness schedules, dining announcements, golf course news, etc. We want them to feel empowered and dive right in from the moment that they join. So
yeah,
that's right in line with what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's key. Just kind of hammering on that is I was a new member at a club, and I didn't really get this kind of onboarding experience, and I was a little bit surprised. And after a couple of months, I actually realized there were certain things that I'd never learned how to do. One of those being filling in a chit. So I'd never been a member at a club before. I didn't know that you had to fill out the chit when you maybe bought something at the halfway house. And when I tried to treat people to a round of drinks during a golf round, I kind of got a bit of a lecture from the staff asking why I hadn't filled out the chit. And it was just because I didn't know that I had to. But that's maybe something that you could include in that onboarding email, is like a little video how-to about how to fill out a chit.
So right in line with that, Shauna posted this as well. We developed a mentorship program where a new member is paired with a current member who identifies with similar interests. So I think this is another great idea, because it definitely would have helped to address some of the issues that maybe you encountered when you first joined your club.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I mean, having somebody who's willing to take time out of their day to help onboard you is great. And you start that with maybe an email introduction, and then let the member and the new member go from there.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to drop off here.
Yep.
I just want to let folks know we do have some questions coming into the chat. We'll circle back around on all your questions at the end of the presentation, though.
Thanks, Trevor. Okay, so those first kind of emails that you send out to a new member are really important, as we discussed, getting them quickly involved in club life. This next section, our main course, is more for keeping your members engaged with the club, as well as making sure that they're getting the emails that they really need, and using your emails effectively and with a specific target in mind. So I kept referring earlier to the membership database. And many of you have probably seen this, whether you're using Jonas Club Management, Jonas Encore. The membership database has a whole bunch of information about your member. And this is why I mentioned earlier that integration to your Jonas system is a really powerful feature when you're using email marketing. For most businesses, it takes years to gather data on their customer base. They might only see their customers come into their store or make a online purchase once every 5-6 months. Whereas at a club, they're coming in on a regular basis. You're building up more and more information about how they use the club. And you can even use your onboarding emails to send out a survey to gather some of this information in the early goings. So you have this information, and it provides an opportunity for you to use what you know to get the right messages and the right emails into the right members' hands. And why is that? Because you don't need every member to receive every email. There's going to be emails that do go out to everyone, of course, important club announcements, annual meeting invitations, these kind of things. But if it's a promotional email, there's going to be certain people at the club who either don't have access because of their membership type, maybe they're not, interested in playing pickleball, they're more of a golf member, etc. So you really want to avoid email fatigue, which is when members receive so many emails from the club that don't really apply to them that they eventually stop even opening the emails that they really do want and would be important to them. And we do this by setting up segmentation. And segmentation is just a fancy word for dividing your list of members into smaller groups so that you're sending out emails specifically to those smaller groups. And I like to kind of divide this up even into two different types of segmentation: static and dynamic. Static segmentation would be for things that don't really change. So this is going to be your maybe gender. It could be your membership type. And I know that membership types can change, but if they do, it's probably, maybe once every 2 to 3 years. This could be the demographic that they're in. Maybe they're a junior member, or it could be something as crazy as a shirt size, which you might be thinking that's odd, but I'll get to that example to show you how that could work. And then dynamic would be something that is kind of changing based on how much your member is using the club, how much they're spending, their AR balance, maybe the date of the last visit. And your email marketing platform can actually listen to these fields in your membership database and send out automations and can segment lists based on this data. So before I kind of get into some really great examples, I want to throw it out to the group. What are some of the unique email segments that you have at your club that other people might be surprised or might be able to use as inspiration if you're using segmentation? If you're not, I've got some ideas here that you could probably take and start using it this season. So Trevor's just going to take a look in the chat while I continue. So for those of you who aren't really sure about how to use segmentation, I want you to imagine an event. So this is for a golf club, and it's for a women's member guest tournament. And I've just been told by the golf professional that registration is open and we want to promote it to get as many people, as many women to participate as possible. So how would we create a segment to target the people that we believe would actually need to know about this event? Well, chances are we're going to segment it to women because the women's member guest is only allowing women entries. And we're going to target it to also people who have the golf type membership. Now, you could even take this a step further. Let's imagine that last year you had 30 participants, and this year you only have spots for 40. Well, you want to give your past participants first rights to enter into this year's event. You could even target the segment to include only the 30 participants from last year first, and then depending on how many people you get signed up, you could send out a second email and open it up to any of the women golfers. The next example is going to use that shirt extra large field from the membership database, which is kind of weird. So if you had a lot of extra inventory in your pro shop, maybe it's your tennis pro shop, and you wanted to move it out before you get your shipments in for this spring, you're maybe going to hold a clearance sale. And you want to target people who you think would come in and buy a lot of the things that you still have left in inventory. So in this case, your pro shop has a lot of extra large shirts. And I don't know about you guys, but I've experienced this. Sometimes I get emails for sales and I'm really excited. I'm like, oh, I've wanted that shirt for a long time. I click on the email, I go to the website, and there's no size, small or medium, whatever size I am, in stock. So it's just like, I had an exciting experience, then turned around into a disappointing experience. Well, if you have a lot of extra large shirts and you're selling them at a really discounted price, then you should target your segment to men, if they're men's shirts, with shirt size XL in their member database file. And you can take that even a step further, and maybe you've got a bunch of members who fit into this category that also have a lot of Pro Shop credit left. I know that a lot of clubs give Pro Shop credit as a prize for golf events or maybe your men's and ladies' nights. So you want to make sure that your member is using that Pro Shop credit, maybe not accumulating. Then you could send out a email promotion specifically to this segment. Move out those extra large shirts, get members using their Pro Shop credit, and not sending the email to people who don't wear size XL. Now, just so you're clear, you don't need to worry about your members knowing that they're on the XL segment. The members will not actually see the segment name that you've created. Okay, so I think we've been gathering a couple of different segment ideas. Trevor, if you want to share any of those that you thought were really good.
Yeah, so the first one that came up was from Michelle Ewing. I thought was really cool. So obviously at their club, they have wine lockers. So they're specifically targeting wine locker holders with specific email marketing communications. I'm guessing, something about upcoming promotions. Maybe there's a newsletter from the sommelier that goes out on a regular basis just to those people who have wine lockers. So definitely a really cool one there.
Okay, yeah. And that could be either for people, that could be for like an update email or even a promotional email, but it's targeting a very niche group within your club.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most powerful features of any email marketing segmentation is kind of getting into those niche groups and also looking at things like club attendance. So targeting people that have either attended or not attended some of your recent events, really getting granular like that. One of the thoughts I had earlier was, looking at your top 10 wine spenders and including them in a special, an annual promotion of some kind. Maybe it's a special tasting from a local winery that only they get invited to, and they only get it because they're in the top 10 of the wine spenders at the club. So there's all kinds of interesting ways that I can think of that I would want to be using segmentation like this.
Yeah, and the key is to, like you said, target specific people, but at the same time, not provide email to people who maybe don't necessarily need that email. If Mr. Johnson has never bought a glass of wine at the club, chances are he's not looking for that unique opportunity to go tasting.
Yeah, that's one of the struggles that obviously that we have internally at Jonas as well, is when we prepare our email marketing lists, we may have 5 to 7 different flags on an individual delivery that goes out. We want to hit all people with X products, but not in this region and not at this time of day. So get really sophisticated with email segmentation. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, that actually just made me think of clubs that possibly have a lot of snowbirds. I know that that's been in a bit of flux or holding pattern this last year, but if you're sending out an email about a club promotion, but you know that maybe a lot of your members are up north for their summer months, then you wouldn't necessarily want to send it to them because it's not really going to apply.
Yeah. I know we said that we'd handle the Q&A at the end, and I want to do that with most of the questions, but one came in from Brody Large that's very, very relevant to what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
Asking, and I'll publish this. So can we create profile fields in Clubhouse Online that would allow members to input certain information, i.e. shirt size themselves, that would then integrate to the fields in the back office? And Brody, there is actually a way that you can do this through the Clubhouse Online member roster. So what you would basically do is just expose certain fields in the membership database in your custom fields area. That would allow you to have your members go into their online roster and update those fields with information. And then you would be able to sync that with your email marketing, and thereby, you've got your members kind of fueling your campaigns.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Giving your members the ability to edit some of this information in the membership database is hopefully going to keep it up to date and accurate. If some of that static data that I did say is usually not changing, does change, you don't want to be sending it to people that it doesn't apply to anymore.
Absolutely. All right, I'll hop off, but great input from the group. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, so we're still in our entree or our main section of this presentation. And the next section is kind of more targeted to emails that are for updating your membership, administrative emails. These are the necessary club communications that are usually going out on a regular basis. You're trying to use these emails possibly to eliminate paper. In the past, you might have had to send out paper statements every month to your member. Well, those have all most likely moved to an online kind of file, or you're sending it out via email. And by using some automation when you're sending out these communications, you're going to hopefully save a lot of time, because I know that everybody working in the office at clubs has a million things going on. So if you can take some of these things off your plate, it'll help you focus on maybe some of the more pressing and important issues that you have to deal with. This infomercial, I just vaguely remember when I was a kid. You're all trying to save time at work. So if you can just stick this chicken into your little oven here, set it and forget it, come back in 2 hours and it's perfectly cooked, then hopefully if we can translate that into our email efforts, it's only going to help you guys. This automation is again going to be something that is leveraging your integration with the membership database. So I just put a highlight here around some of the key fields that maybe you could use to send out some automated messages. And you'll notice I've got the AR current balance. So if your membership statements are monthly, every time that membership balance gets updated, that could trigger out an automation to send an email to your memberships saying that their payments are due by a specific date. These other two, your AR 31 60 day and your 61 to 90 day, could be for those members who haven't possibly paid on time and you're sending them out a reminder that they have a balance owing. You could have these sent out on specific dates, and your email marketing platform is going to listen to see if there are any balances in these fields, and then put that member into the segment and send it out. We have some different ways of doing this. Depending on the email marketing platform that you're using, we've got detailed instructions on how to set these up, and our support team knows that I'm presenting on this. So if you do have questions, you can definitely reach out to them on how to do it. Using these fields, as well as a few different others, you can use automation to send out maybe some minimum spend balances. If your club does quarterly minimum spends and there's a large sum still available that your member has to use up, that could trigger an automated email out to them. Also, if you have annual dues payments, some clubs I know break those up over multiple months of the year, or it could be an annual thing. You could send that out through an automation. And then more on the fun side of things, you could actually, which many clubs are doing already and we've had for a long time, send out birthday messages that are triggered by the member's birthday information, as well as maybe it's the anniversary of their membership at the club. Another one that I thought of when I was just reviewing things for today is a lot of times we have a junior member transition possibly from a dependent, and they reach a certain age and they're no longer allowed to be in that junior category. Once they've timed out or they've aged out of that junior membership, that could trigger an automation to say, hey, would you be interested in now becoming an intermediate member now that your junior membership has expired or is no longer available? So there's lots of different ways that you could set these up in advance. Once they're set, you can just let them run in the background and save yourself some time. Okay, so now into the dessert portion. This is the more fun. This is the one that I could probably do an entire 1 hour session on. And this is about keeping your members engaged, opening that weekly email newsletter. So trying to provide some fun content and keep them interested. I'm sure you guys have really great ideas, and I really want to throw this over to the group because the creativity of all of you added together is probably way more than anything I could think of. So I want to ask, what type of engaging content are you guys using, are you including in your email newsletters to really encourage your members to keep opening them up on a weekly basis? I know that there's probably a lot of club updates. There's probably, event promotions. There's so many events going on at most of your clubs. But what are you doing that you feel might be unique and that other clubs might be able to learn from a fun, creative content perspective? So I'll let Trevor kind of analyze those, or keep an eye on the chat, and I'm going to show you some of the cool examples that I've seen clubs doing. So one thing that I really encourage, and I really like this example, is allowing your members to generate content that you can then share in your email promotions or your email newsletters. The Country Club of Virginia came up with a really cool contest, and it was called the Far and Away Contest. What they did is they asked their members to take a photograph of themselves wearing the club branded apparel that they owned when they went away on vacation, and then share it with the club. Once they'd received those, they chose one member photo and put it into their email newsletter per week. Over the span of a year, I think they, put in one per week, as many as they could, and then they maybe picked a couple of winners. There's two really great things about this. One is when members are sporting their club apparel, they're in a way promoting their club. It's getting their members to wear their club apparel when they're out, maybe on a cruise or at a resort or visiting places where people might say like, oh, what club is that? Or it gives a talking point. It's a way for them to promote the club to other people. And then two, people who submit photos are going to want to see themselves in the email. So it gives them an incentive to open the email each week to say, oh, did I make it in this week? And it also gives a chance for other members to, see where Bob has visited or where Mary went last summer. And it could be a talking point the next time they run into each other at the club. So it's a really great initiative. There's a few different ways that you could get your members to actually share this, whether it would be, maybe sending the email directly into the membership director, whoever puts together the email, or you could even create like a hashtag on Instagram and create some kind of unique contest hashtag like Far and Away, and have your membership director monitor that, pick out some of the cool photos that were shared, and then put those into the email newsletter. Another really great idea, and this is something that I've seen done at a few of the different places I've worked, is to create a member spotlight. And this would be something where your member answers a few, very simple questions, nothing too intrusive. And what's really great about it is because the questions are the same each week, your members are going to kind of know what to expect, but at the same time, they're going to want to see who's featured each week. So it incentivizes them to open up to see maybe it was them, which they're probably hoping, or maybe it's someone that they don't know at the club and they'd like to get a little bit more information about them. Then similarly to the vacation photos, if they happen to run into them on the first tee, maybe they're partnered up in an event, if they remember what they read about that person in the member spotlight, it gives them a little bit of a talking point and say like, oh yeah, I heard you traveled to Sicily last summer. Did you get to try this winery or something like that? The other great thing is if your club has a down season, maybe you're a southern club that has a lot of snowbirds fly back up north for the summer months. This is a great way to keep those members engaged. Throughout those months when there isn't a lot going on at the clubs, this is a reason for people to still continue opening up your email, check the member spotlight, and it really fosters a sense of community digitally. And if we're not always at the club, we can still keep in touch, still kind of feel like we're connected. All right, now I'm sure there are some really great ideas coming in. Trevor, anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we've definitely got a couple of good ideas here. So let me share this one from Phyllis Riley. I thought was really good. So they actually hide a member number somewhere in the newsletter for that
Okay.
member to find and win a prize, which I think is just like such a cool idea.
That is really good. So I would be curious to know, like, just amongst the body, like in some of the text, and you have to hunt for it and then submit it back to the club. The first person to do it, the first person to submit the membership number gets to win.
Or maybe it's like, maybe you have to find your own membership number, and maybe it's like it's your lucky week, right? It keeps everybody reading the newsletter that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a very cool idea. Michelle Ewing. So I guess she said their number one clicked on weekly is their new members. So they actually take an opportunity to
Oh, yeah.
a newsletter to introduce them to the entire club, which is a phenomenal idea. That's a great way to help your members on board and help your existing membership get to know all the new members and maybe a little bit about them. I assume you probably include a few details with that.
Yeah, and going full circle, if one of those first onboarding emails included that initial questionnaire that linked to a survey, um, you take that information, easily put that into your weekly newsletter for the next week. So, no, that's a really good one. Yeah.
Nick Elton, he said they send out a weekly email called This Week at the Club, letting members know what's going on each day of the week. Most of our members live in Houston and travel down to the island for the weekend. So it helps them decide if they want to come down or not. So that's a really good thing, right? You're just basically keeping your members up to date on all the unique events and things that are happening at your club on a weekly basis, helping them make the most of their visits and kind of schedule their time around what's happening at the club.
Yeah, that reminds me of one that I think you and I have talked about in the past. There's a club in Nebraska called Champions Run, and
Yes.
it's a very family-oriented club. A lot of junior members, lots of junior programming, and they do a really cool thing where for their kind of updates on events and their weekly promotions, they put together about a minute, maybe 2 minute at most, video that is kind of their weekly newsletter, and they email that out. So it doesn't have to be text-based because they know that their young membership are probably more likely to watch a video. And it's just them in front of a green screen, kind of like news reporter style. It's really creative. So I encourage anyone to go check that out as well.
Yeah, I've seen their videos too. They're very casual, really energetic. There's two of them sitting there. You kind of picture like Entertainment Tonight kind of style or something like that. It's really good, really well done. The last one that I wanted to share here was from Brody. He said they've got a bi-weekly newsletter that comes out from each department. So this is one of the things that I know I always encourage clubs to look at, right? You know, you've got a lot of experts under your roof, whether you've got a sommelier, your head chef, your golf pro, your tennis pro. All of these people would make great content creators if you can work with them to get some good content out. So a weekly or monthly tip or trick or something like that that you can include. It's really easy to start building out incredibly useful content for your members in your weekly or monthly newsletters.
Yeah, and I think during the lockdown, we saw like a lot of club staff get involved in that content creation. And I know that there's probably different time constraints once things are back to full capacity. But if you can continue to get the experts at your club to help out a little bit with that content, you're providing such great value to your members. If it's, a cocktail recipe, or maybe it's just a simple tip and trick for hitting out of a sand bunker or something like that. You've got great resources within the club to provide really good content.
Thanks for the input from everyone in the chat. Really good stuff.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of recap some of the things that we went over today. In our appetizer section, we talked about onboarding and using email marketing to, give that first initial welcome to members. Digital onboarding can go into many different directions. I think a lot of clubs have probably transitioned to maybe even doing video interviews before prospects become members. I've even seen, virtual tours if you're not really able to have guests into the club yet. Hopefully that will change, but virtual tours are still a really great idea for maybe members that aren't living right next to your club, or they're coming from, the north or northeast down to Florida or something like that. The main course, we took a look at some segmentation and automation. Segmentation is going to get the right emails into your different membership groups. So we try to avoid email fatigue by making sure that we reduce the number of people receiving messages that they don't necessarily need. The automation section was more for those administrative type emails where you're trying to save time. You're getting 1,200 members account statement reminders out every month. And if you can have those set up in the background to run, you're going to just take one thing off your list and not have to worry about it. And then lastly, the dessert section, a couple of fun ideas to get people opening those promotions that, we get about 30 to 40 emails a day. I can't believe how many emails I sift through or have to delete in my personal inbox. So you want to make sure that your members are looking forward to, that newsletter coming from you, and that they're going to open it up and hopefully see something that puts a smile on their face. So now I know that we've been receiving questions about some of this content throughout the presentation. So if you do have any other questions, please throw those into the chat box and we'll do our best. If we don't happen to get to them today, we'll definitely follow up in some way. But yeah, I'll hand it over to Trevor, who I know has been monitoring those.
Yeah, so we've had some really good questions coming in throughout the presentation. So I'm going to go back to kind of the beginning here, where we were talking about new member automations. So I'm going to throw this question from Barbara. Is there a way to circumvent the new member automation if you add an existing member who provides a new email address?
If the email is being sent to anybody who's only been added into a new member onboarding list, then that should be fine. How they get into that list would be where you might run into a conflict. I would have to take a look to see how your database is set up and what you're using to actually create that list, or support team would probably be the right people to have actually go in there and look directly at it. But yeah, you can avoid having just a new email address trigger the automation.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add to that is there's probably a way for you to add people to that list or to that automation based on date joined.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's a field that you're tracking within your database as to when a member actually joins the club, you could potentially set it up so that anyone who's got a join date within the last 30 days, let's say, or within the last even like 24, 48 hours, would be added onto that list. But Trev's right, for exact walkthrough and that specific question, our support team would be able to help you out and kind of give you the best practice as to how you might want to do that.
And for those of you who are using email marketing to actually promote to prospects, one of the cool things that you could do is if your prospect list only contains people with the membership type prospect, when that member converts and their membership type changes, that could be the way that they get into that new onboarding segment. So there's a few different ways. That's the kind of tough thing about email marketing, is there's no like one right way. When you're building these lists, there's different strategies and kind of advantages and disadvantages to doing it different ways.
Yeah. Okay, another question here from Peggy Hatch. This was in regard to setting up the automation. So is there a video to walk us through how to do it? I don't know if there's actually a video, but I was just checking on our support website, our Clubhouse Online support site. And there are a few pages of content in there that walk you through exactly how you can set up your email marketing automated workflows. So once you've logged into Clubhouse Online, just up in the top right-hand or left-hand corner, I can't remember which, there's a little Clubhouse Online help icon. Click on that and go to the email marketing section of our help site, and there's all kinds of details there to help you get up and running on it.
Yeah, and if for some reason you do happen to see instructions that don't necessarily look like your email marketing, there are two types in there. So just be sure to make sure just use the one that you have, so that you're not getting frustrated.
Yeah, and Donna, let me see, Donna Lassner, she had this question. I think we've already covered this, basically how it gets set up. They get put into a specific list. But she had a quick follow-up question, was just, where is it set up in Jonas? Is there a special module? This is done right within our email marketing system, Clubhouse Online Email Marketing or Frankie Email Marketing. We've got the two platforms now. And it can just be set up directly within there. Both are integrated back into your membership database so the information can flow over easily. We had some more questions here. Phyllis was asking about where we capture member information. She asked that just before we went through that process though, but basically it's in the member file. You get up to 100 unique custom fields that you can enter there. And then all that information can be made available to your email marketing system to use. Just continuing through here, I think we got a few more come in near the end. I apologize if I'm missing anybody's questions. So Phyllis asked, let me see here. We started to enter prospective member data. However, we'd prefer to use the CRM module if we can upload from CRM to the member database once they join. Is there? Yes, absolutely. The information you add into the Jonas CRM module, it flows directly into your JCM, your membership file, once that member actually, or once that prospect converts into a member. So all the history and everything is saved and brought right along with it.
And you can use the CRM data that you capture and add it to your email marketing platform if you're using Clubhouse Online email marketing to promote to those prospects. So once they live in the email marketing database from CRM, they will still convert to a full member if they make that switch.
This is a good one from Jackie, and this actually goes back to something that I mentioned just a minute ago. So Jackie had heard that Clubhouse Online was leaving the Clubhouse Online email marketing, also known as Campaigner, to use another email platform, and is there an ETA for this? So just to provide a little bit of background for everybody, our email marketing systems are partnerships with a couple of other companies out there in the industry, some really widely used. And one of them is with a company called Campaigner, and that's what we commonly refer to as Clubhouse Online email marketing. And our other system, it works with a provider called Emma, and that's the one that we call Frankie. I know lots of names, but anyway, we got two email marketing systems. Both have slightly different functionality, and we're not planning on getting rid of or moving everybody over to any one or the other. So, you know, that's nothing to be worried about. If you're having issues, Jackie, with your existing email marketing system, if you're not happy with a feature or something in your Clubhouse Online email marketing system and you'd like to see another option, by all means, let us know and we can show you what the options are in our Frankie system. The last question that I got here is from Carolyn. And unfortunately, Carolyn, I might need a little bit more detail on this. Maybe Trev, I'm not sure if you would as well, but is there a way to integrate email marketing into the app so you don't need to use this separate push notifications option? So I'm not sure if you mean integrating email marketing and push notifications together so they both go out at the same time. But long story short, if you have our mobile app, you can send out push notifications for anybody who doesn't know. You can send out push notifications to your entire membership, and you can segment it in much the same way that you do with your email marketing. And it's all within the Clubhouse Online interface that works. So Carolyn, if you'd like, by all means, you can reach out to Trevor Kluk or myself. Oh, she just pushed here. Using email marketing in lieu of push notifications. Essentially, you could, yeah. There's really, push notifications are kind of, you know, maybe the next generation of short form email marketing. If you just need to send out a really short broadcast to your members to let them know about something, and push notification might be the right way to do it. But, you know, if you've got anything longer form email marketing, realistically, the two complement each other really well. You can send out an email and then you can follow up with a push notification. And yeah, and that's probably the best way that the two of them can work together. Okay, Trev, I think we want to offer people a few minutes here to kind of maybe get a coffee or a drink and use the facilities. We did just get one more question in. We can answer that. It'll be our last one from Peggy. Peggy says that they were moved to a drag and drop email builder. Is that Frankie? Yes, it is. The good news is as well, I'll sneak peek here for just the folks on this session, our Clubhouse Online email marketing system is also going to be releasing a drag and drop email builder, I think just in the coming weeks. So if you're using the Clubhouse Online email marketing now, the one that's been around for a few years. That one's getting a pretty significant upgrade in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. All right, and with that said, Trev, I'll pass it back over to you. Great session. Do you have any kind of wrap-up comments for the group?
Yeah, I think, you know, when I offer 3 different ideas, like I did, it can sometimes feel a little overwhelming to have to implement all these different things. It's not the case. You know, choose one of these, take it. Maybe it's sending out one welcome onboarding message. Maybe it's, you know, creating an automation. It could be putting something new into that weekly newsletter. You don't have to do all of these to be successful at email marketing. Start with one and then grow from there. As you keep building on top of what you've already done, over time, you will be using all 3. So if you have any questions, if you want to bounce ideas off, please reach out to me. And I really appreciate everybody taking the time to join us at Thrive. And hopefully, you know, you'll enjoy the rest of your sessions today. And remember, we'll also be holding sessions next Monday as well.